Thank you so much. So I'm just going to briefly take you through Lubanzi ICT, which is our company that we registered 2017, to be precise. So we've really been in existence from a legal registration point of view since 2017. But background-wise, I've been in testing for over 10 years now. So last year we took a decision to say, you know what, I think it's time to focus, start a business within this area, hence the existence of Lubanzi ICT. So my presentation is going to take a threefold kind of approach, and probably as entrepreneurs, you know, we listen to a couple of guys on YouTube and follow a couple of few guys. But so as I was trying to prepare and thinking about this, I had to sort of restructure my presentation to follow this approach. So I'm just going to take you through why we exist as a business. Interestingly enough, he mentioned earlier about test automation and things like that. So I mean, why we exist as a business, if you look at what's happening currently in the market, talking about mobility, time to market, all of those things. So we exist as a business to try and help companies to save time and money. In the previous days or previous times, waterfall model, you would develop a solution, wait 6 months, even longer than that, before you even take it to production. But today, the way things are moving, the speed, it's critical. But at the same time, as you are trying to move as quickly as possible to the market, you don't want to compromise quality, which is one of the things that we exist for as a testing company. We want to ensure that as you want to deploy, get your products into the market as quickly as possible, but you don't lose quality, in that process. And another thing that's important, why we exist, is that if you look at it from a testing point of view, I don't know, maybe some companies would be in the software development space. If you look at it from a testing point of view, many times, testing will be something that's left at the last end, probably done by some SMEs who just want to see what they want to see, and that's it. As a result, you take your stuff into production, you are hit by high cost of downtime in production and all of those things. So one of the things that we exist for is to help companies increase their test coverage, making sure that if you deploy a feature or a part of your application into production, it's thoroughly tested. You don't have situations where you say, we didn't have time, this didn't happen, as a result, we didn't test. So with what we do, we want to help companies increase their test coverage. He also spoke about 3,000 to 600, but the beauty of automation is that you can enhance your human capital with virtual robots, that can help you test quickly. In a normal environment, a person would work from 8 to 5. You're lucky if they would work at home for another 2 hours or 3 hours, You're not taking that away, but you're saying that, how do I enhance my testing capability, still keeping the very same people that I have? 5 o'clock, they pack their bags, they go, laptops are closed. But you are able, with what we do, you are able to have other virtual testers, that can test for you even when my laptop is closed. It was interesting, one of our clients where we were doing automation, we tested the concept to say, okay, fine, we're closing, our laptops, we're going home. Later when I got home, I had a report that I could give to a customer, because as my laptop is shut down, the work is still continuing. And very importantly, we exist to help, again, with what we do, to have a 24/7 kind of, test being done. You don't have a limitation of people are not here, people are sick, et cetera, As long as you've got systems are up, you've got environments are up, et cetera, you are able to get your testing done. And then very importantly, lastly, is that we want to help customers to have a greater return on investment. You have 3,000 people sitting there doing testing. That's a huge cost, and at the same time still not being able to achieve the level of testing you want. You're still not able to achieve the level of coverage you want. You go into production, you still have a lot of defects that are coming out of production, which is a huge cost because now you have to go reinvestigate, rework what you have implemented in production. So that's why we exist as Lubanza ICT. And how do we do it? So we develop, this is all, the core of this is having skilled quality engineers. We spoke about skills earlier, which is a big problem within the space that we are in as well. But how we do this for us is that we work with everything we have to develop simple to use automation frameworks. If you've been in the development space again, you know that there's a time to test, but you can implement automation, but if it's not thoroughly thought through, implemented in a way that it allows you, to scale. You might be in a program, for example, or a project where every month you're deploying something into production. You can imagine by the time you finish 12 months, you're probably sitting with a huge testing scope or regression scope that you need to go through. If you're still doing it manually, chances are you will not be able to go through that scope, and you have a higher chance of having downtime into production when you deploy your applications. So we also how we do this also, we develop application-specific frameworks. For an example, we've done SAP projects, bank analyzer to be specific. We've done inbound from a SAP perspective, quality management, all of those. So we are developing automated frameworks that are specific to applications, because also you don't want, when you go to a client, you still want to go first, build up a set of framework before you even start doing the actual work that you need to do. So we've got specific frameworks that we have developed for SAP. Of course, not complete as yet, but it's work in progress. We've got frameworks that we have for success factors. It's interesting that there's a big uptick of success factors in many big enterprises. So that's one of the things that we do, how we do it. And then also low maintenance. Critical thing is that you don't want to spend R1 million now. 6 months down the line, you spend another R1 million to update your automation tests. How you do it initially, it's very critical. So the way we approach it is that we try, and as much as possible, to that at a later stage, you have very low maintenance costs. And then what we do, as I mentioned there, so our business really is about, we've got consulting services where we offer services to develop automated tests. We call them robotics test automation, robot testers, basically. You can have people that are working for you or doing testing for you, but if you employ, the concept of automation, you are able to enhance the work that you do with your team. So we're doing test automation, performance testing, security testing, mobile application testing, and API testing. APIs are something that's very key now, because a lot of people are not developing new applications. They develop APIs to consume whatever that's existing out there, So that's one big area that we're sitting. And then training as well. We are offering training services, and primarily to address the issue of skill. If you go to the market today, you've got a project to test, you're looking for automators, chances are you won't find them. And if you find them, they are currently engaged in projects. So there's a huge gap as far as skills is concerned, and that's one of the things that we want to address with our training service offering. We building up now to what's intelligent automation, which is the whole robotics process automation. Concepts are the same, but applied differently. Test is test. RPA is meant really for production. How do you enhance, how do you increase your production rate? A use case that's currently being implemented in the banks, opening of new accounts, or processing of purchase orders or payment, things like that. RPA helps in terms of fast-tracking those things and ultimately get your customers happy. And then lastly, having been in the micro-focus space now, we are introduced into, reselling softwares, micro-focus softwares, and the licenses, and that's an area now that we are quite building aggressively from our business. And the question is, I mean, who are we doing this, all these things for? You know, great. You know why you're doing it, how you do it, but for who? Who's got that challenge in the market today? As I mentioned earlier, a lot of companies now, they're trying as much as possible to get their products into the market as quickly as possible. So we're doing this for those that are saying, you know what, we are here and we want to ship our products quickly. You know, our time to market is very slow. So those are the people that we're doing these things for. You've got long release cycles. You need to release something in a month, but it ends up taking you, 3 months. What are you doing wrong? Chances are you're probably not investing in the right things, which is automation. You've got high manual costs. 3,000 people, imagine paying them 20,000 rands a month. What's that cost looking like for you as a business, and still not getting ultimately, the output that you want? Ever increasing regression scope. Like I said earlier, you deploy stuff every month. By the time 12 months sit, you're sitting with 1,000 plus test cases. You only have 2 people to test. Can you really cover? Chances are you can't. And it's a reality. And high downtime costs. If I go to my app, FNB app now, and it's down, I'm not happy at all. So you will need to have the application up as much as possible in production. If it happens to be down, it must not be due to the fact that we didn't have enough time to test, we didn't have enough time to do this and that, but we did. It could be maybe an environment, or other things, but not that we didn't test. And with our services, we are here to help customers achieve that. And just in closing, I'll just take you through 2 case studies. One of the banks, they are using SAP Bank Analyzer. It's really about, data and warehousing of data, and ultimately, from a finance point of view, they pull reports from there. When we started the project, they had about 600 test cases that they needed to do, and they had about 12 people that were doing that work. And it was taking them more than 3 weeks to do that. But when we came in, we were able to help them. I mean, there's different spaces that they operate in CIB and PBB. But I just want to focus here. We were able to achieve the execution time in 54 hours, right? And the total test cases that we were able to automate in this space of time for PBB was 3,842. For CIB was 1,726. Now think about it. If you had people sitting there, how many do you need for you to be able to achieve so much work of testing with this time? Of course, it was not an overnight thing, but over a 6 months period, we were able to scale, and be able to have the bank achieve their return on investment and be able to deploy quickly as well, because we had 2 weeks, every 2 weeks we had to deploy something. And with that rate, you can imagine the level of testing that you have to go through. And the last case study that I want to take you through on the success factors. Okay, these are the modules we've done for success factors. I think they needed about 980 hours to do their regression. Every time they have quarterly release, 980 hours. But we're able to do this. And again, this is human. I come in, I sit down, I have coffee, I go do other things, I come back, I do this. But we're talking about machines here that don't need coffee, don't need to sit down, don't need to have a chat. You press a click of a button, this thing runs, it gives the results later. So with what we have done for success factors, we're able to free business time to focus on other work. I'm an HR person in that business. I need to test, but I still need to process payroll, process this and that from an HR perspective. We freed them the time to go and focus on that, and while the automation work was going from a regression point of view, we were able to, it took them a month to do their quarterly release, but within a week, testing was done. So that's the value that we bring with automation test. And if you need to, have a chat, we can definitely help you in your projects that you are currently busy with as far as automation is concerned. Thank you so much.